Thank you. Senator Scott. Senator Hawley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. You've been asked, I've noticed, quite a few China questions. I want to start there as well. Do you agree with the Secretary Austin, that is, his determination that China is the nation's pacing threat? Would you agree with that?
Yes, Senator.
So let me ask you, in light of that, Beijing, we know, has spent decades developing the capabilities required to try and seize control of Taiwan. Senator Scott was just asking about that. We've been told on this committee, we've received testimony from Admiral Davidson, among others, there's reason to believe they may try that within the next decade. My question is, how would that impact your force's ability to deter North Korea, should you be confirmed to this new position, and to defend themselves on the Korean Peninsula if China were to seize control of Taiwan, let's say, and station their own forces there?
Senator, it would all depend on what resources I would lose and what risk is created to do that. My experience on the battlefield has shown that resources are not limited or are not unlimited, and that commanders make decisions on those. My responsibility will be to identify that risk and present that back to the Indo-PACOM commander, the chairman, and the Secretary of Defense. But the Republic of Korea forces are a very capable formation, and we'll just have to identify that risk, and that's my responsibility to provide that feedback back to my bosses.
Very good. I want to ask you about resources. Actually, why not just ask you now? I mean, if North Korea, or if China, rather, attempted an invasion of Taiwan, do you think that the North Koreans might view that as a window of opportunity, and that we might then find ourselves, if we were drawn into a crisis with China, and certain assets or resources that you might traditionally rely on were no longer available? I mean, what kind of a bind would that put us in if North Korea then looked at that as a window of opportunity for aggression?
Senator, I think North Korea will have to weigh not just the U.S. piece, but the Republic of Korea's capabilities on their ability to move south. And quite frankly, the ascending nations of the United Nations Command, et cetera, going forward.
On the South Korean piece, would South Korea, assuming greater responsibility for deterring the North, improve our ability to deter northern opportunistic aggression in the kind of scenario I was just hypothesizing?
Senator, they have complete control of their military on a day-to-day basis. And I think this is a calculus that the North Korean leadership would have to, not just the North Korean leadership, but Japanese, et cetera, of how we would bring a formation, a coalition together to combat, to maintain the stability on the peninsula.
Let me ask you about something Secretary Austin said recently. He said that the U.S. and South Korea, and I'm quoting him now, continue to make progress toward the eventual transition of wartime operational control to a South Korean-commanded future combined forces command. Now, just so I understand it, that transition of operational control would put U.S. forces under South Korean command during a contingency with the North. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Yes, and my role would change to become the deputy commander of the Combined Forces Command.
So my question is, what would happen if the United States found itself in simultaneous conflicts with China and North Korea? Would this operational control arrangement provide us with the flexibility we would need to retask or reposition forces if we found ourselves with the simultaneity problem?
My current understanding is yes, Senator.
Very good. Are you concerned that China might target U.S. forces in Korea as part of a broader campaign to seize control of Taiwan, for example?
I think it's an area of it's their area. I don't know how China defines their area of operation, interest, or influence. I think that we would be vulnerable, and would if confirmed, to take the necessary steps to protect the force.
Yeah, what plan would you? How would you plan to protect our forces on the peninsula in the event of such a contingency?
Senator, it's hypothetically, I would have to look at what what threats exist against that, and whether it's the missile defense or local security. I think everything's on the table, and we'd have to take a look at what those threats are and take action appropriately.
Very good. I may have another question or two for you that I'll give to you for the record. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Hawley. Let me recognize Senator Sullivan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, good to see you again. Congrats on your